Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. Welcome to the second part of this vlog, the Nanosurgeon, where I will talk about the mechanics of instrument handling and tissue handling in microsurgical specimens and techniques. Before we start on the microvessel model, you need to prepare, as we said, the setup. Make sure that it's within reach. You don't need to go and find them. They have to be very close to you and to the minimum. So you need the jeweler forceps at your left, another jeweler forceps at your right, another needle holder at your right here, and a micro scissor at the top. In that setting. Now I'm using these needle holders just as a clamp and as a fixation until I get the bulldog double clamp or micro clamp. And so this is the way you should prepare the setup. Now let's move to how to handle the tissue and the instrument. Let's go to the microscope. So this is how you pick up the needle. You pick it pronated, like this, pronated like this. So it's already looped. The loop is already ready. You can make it. If you do it supinated like this, it's difficult. It's you can still do it, but it's already away from the operative field. It's fuzzy and it's difficult to loop. So always do it pronated. It's close to the operative field. The arc of movement is the range of movement is really very small, and it's already looping and ready to make the knot. Okay, thank you. In this part, the fourth part, where we will do end-to-end arterial anastomosis, you can see the setup. That's the operative field. That's the high fidelity micro vessel, artificial vessel. It's fixed by pins, and the needle holder here, I'm using them as double clamp, arterial clamps, micro clamps. It will help during the anastomosis to turn over or flip over the anastomosis, so I can do the posterior layer as if it is an anterior layer, and then I flip it over back again and check the posterior layer. So this is the operative field as it looks, and then right now we will move to the microscope. Thank you. So, as you can see, these are the end-to-end of the donor and the recipient vessels. Before you cut, you can see that the diameters are very small, so it's better to spatulation technique, to cut in an oblique manner, or trim the edges, like you cut an obliquely here, and you cut an obliquely opposite direction here. So it will be, the anastomosis will be a little bit oblique with wider anastomosis, but make sure you do not, the angle is not more than 20 degrees. If it's more than 20 degrees, the anastomosis will kink, so you have to be careful. And before you start your anastomosis, you have to make sure that the donor and the recipient vessels are well oriented, not twisted, not mal rotated. The last thing you need is, after a beautiful anastomosis, it's already, there is no flow because it's torted, and of course not under tension. And if there are any excess adventitia, you have to clear them, you have to dissect them and trim the excess adventitia. If there is any excess intimal tissue protruding from the edge, you have also to trim it, okay, using micro scissor. And if one of the vessels is atherosclerotic or have an intimal pathology, so it's easy for it to dissect, you have to be careful to take the stitches from in-out manner. If you have a double arm needle, then in-out also. If you have a healthy vessel and a diseased vessel, then you go out in the healthy vessel and in-out in the diseased vessel to avoid disrupting the intima and causing intimal dissection. Before you also performing the anastomosis, make sure that you flush it with flush the arteries with heparinized saline to remove any clots, and make sure that the operative field is clean. Small amount of blood is enough to obscure your operative field. Actually, that's the job of the assistant, but the assistant has to make sure that he will not suck your anastomosis. The last thing you need is your anastomosis in the suction tip. Sometimes it's useful to put a wrung out saline soaked gauze, not wet, not dry, just wrung out saline soaked. Little bit wet, it will suck any amount of blood that comes, or a suction pad, or other method to make the operative field clear. When you apply your clamps, the double clamp, to fix and approximate the end, it's helpful because it will make it easier for you to turn over the ends and take the posterior layer first in an anterior fashion, and then turn it over or flip it over back and take the anterior layer easily. So let's start. After preparing the operative field, then you start the stitching and suturing. So this is the way you prepare an operative field. Make sure when you hold the needle, you have to hold the needle with your palm down. Your hand has to be pronated. I will show you actually in one of the videos the importance of this maneuver. It makes it easy for you to hold the needle and to tie. So this is the tip of the instrument. Sometimes if it is too fine, it can cut the suture if you hold the suture with it. If it is too blunt, it might damage, it might crush the suture. So sometimes it's easier, if you cannot make it, it's easier to hold the stitch itself. But for example, like this, it's easier. Now the stitch is very long for a reason. It should be very short. That's one of the most important to prevent snagging of the suture. It has to be short, but I cannot afford it. I cannot leave a lot of I cannot make the suture shorter because I have to be economic in using these sutures. So as usual, you hold the needle 2/3, 1/3. You can see 2/3, 1/3, just with the tip, but not if you hold it with the very tip, it might just jump from the tip and you have to search for it. And you cannot hold, it's not like in macro surgery where you hold the edges and make the edges, you invert the edges. No, that's a no. If you do that, you will crush the intima. You cannot hold it like that. The only thing you can do is using the jugular forceps to open the lumen for you. Of course, at all times you have to see the posterior wall to make sure you are not taking the posterior wall with you. And believe me, it's easy to catch the posterior wall. It's always easy to catch the posterior wall. So you have to see the posterior wall at all times under vision. And again, do not take a very tangential. That's called scything. You know, the scythe that people use, the farmers use for cutting the crops. That's called scything. It will damage your tissue. you do not go tangential. You, using the jugular forceps, you see the posterior wall, open the lumen, and you use it to avert. This way you avert the edge. Make sure that when you take the stitch, it is about 3 tip away from the edge. It has to be the same distance in thickness, and the stitches has to be the same distance apart and the same distance from the edge. So it's a square pattern. So this is 1 tip, 2 and 3. This is approximately 3 tips. So this is the way. And do not hold the edges, do not hold the tip of the needle with the forceps. You will damage it and it will be traumatic. It will not be sharp anymore. Of course, the needle has to be non-cutting needle. It goes without saying. And when you pull it, you do not pull it this way. You will damage the tissue. You twist it. You twist it. You twist it. Using the needle holder probably is better. You twist it. Okay. Then you hold it again. Okay, and it's already in position again. 3 tips from the 3 tips distance from the edge. Again, you do not hold the tissue, just the adventitia, and this is the way you help to avert. You press the tissue to help your needle pass. That's it. That's all it takes. Now you can see I will struggle because it's a very, very long stitch, but again I have to be economical when it comes to stitches. They are not that cheap. And always you have to make the tail, short. It will help you when if you leave it too much long, you will struggle. But of course the first stitch, when I talk later about the anastomosis, the first stitch you have to leave a long tail, because you will use this long tail as a stay suture. Your assistant will hold it or as a stay suture. But the other stitches has to be short. So this is the beauty of holding the needle palm down or pronated. The loop is already formed. If I just bring the needle and the loop is already formed, I just need to take it. You can take 1 or 2 if it's under tension. You can do the surgical knot, or you can do sliding knot if it's under tension. And you hold the tail and you make the knot. It has to be here under. You need tactile and visual feedback. You need to secure it snugly, but not too much. As usual, you approximate, you do not strangulate. You see it's surgical knot, a beautiful surgical knot. Tactile feedback, you feel that you need to secure it by tactile feedback and by visual feedback. So you are not strangulating it. You see, just approximate. You see the knot? So this is your visual feedback. If you pull too much, it will tear. It will tear. Okay? I can show you now. I can really push it further and it will tear. So just, this is visual and tactile. I feel it. That's the maximum I should go. And again, I'm not leaving the needle. I'm holding it just this the same grip, and I already holding the tail again. Okay, that was a fail. Okay, so that's a loop. Okay, I'm already in the loop. Okay, you see another surgical loop. Okay, usually 3 throws are enough. Not necessarily surgical, simple will do. But I'm using surgical here. But simple square knot do just fine. You see? Okay, again, tactile. That's enough. So I locked the first stitch. Okay, and then again, the loop is already formed. You see, the same grip. I didn't leave the needle. The same grip, and the loop is already formed. I just need to take it. Again, I hold the tip, the tail of the stitch, of the suture. Okay. So the needle is I lost the needle. Okay, so I will hold the stitch. Of course, try to avoid holding the suture itself. Try to avoid holding the suture itself. Holding the suture will damage the suture. It will be weak and it will cut. So that's the third stitch. That's enough. Okay. Now you have, and then you cut. Okay. Now that's the tail. You leave it long for your sorry, that's the tail here. That's the tail. You leave the tail for your assistant to hold it when you are taking the as a stitch in the angles. Okay, like that probably is enough, and then you cut your stitch. Now that's a very big scissor. I'm waiting for my micro scissor. Still, I ordered it, but you can see you have to cut it really short. That's enough. Okay. Now that's the first throw. These are the dynamics. So to recap, simply you have to make sure that you do not hold how to prepare the operative field to begin with, how to prepare your own instrument, how the role of the assistant, and how to make sure that you do not hold the edges and injure the intima. In order to avert the edges, you have to see the posterior wall. There should be no tension, no torsion, and how to hold the needle without without damaging the tip of the needle or damaging the thread itself. So this is how you take a stitch. Now in the next part I will talk about an overview of the different microsurgical anastomotic techniques, and then we will perform an interrupted end-to-end arterial anastomosis using high fidelity micro vessel. That's it. Till next time. Take care.